Today I watched the Birdman film, the Michael Keaton one. It was quite intellectual. I didn't really know what the main meaning of it was, but at the end of the day, it's about what I derived from it. And I used to want to be an actor. A part of the film really resonated with me. The feeling of, once being at your prime and no longer. Not that I was ever to the level of, what was his name, Riggin? Riggin was a international superstar in some superhero movie, and he's now trying to get into a more genuine form of acting in Broadway, and he's struggling to come into terms with, like, being past his prime. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes I reflect and think what could have been had I have kept going on that path, because a lot of what I do in life I do to try get over my not get over but achieve my goal of not being forgotten. I very much fear death. Just the thought of there being no life beyond what we are living in right now terrifies me. That after I stop existing, that's it. Like the consciousness I have right now, there is nothing to think about. Like the entity that I am right now can't even think that I'm not alive. Like it just cuts off, it shuts off, ceases to be, and that's terrifying. That I only have a finite time to be. So, I can't help but change that. I can't invent an elixir that prevents me from dying, like everyone else. I'll have to fall to that. So to try avoid it, I thought, why not become famous? Why not, be remembered for something, have a legacy? So yeah, when I was a kid, I walked into a technology store. They sell like appliances and TVs. And I was looking at the TVs and I saw a movie playing. There's a guy jumping from a ball of fire, and it was Hugh Jackman. It was the Wolverine movie. And I was like, wow, that is so cool. Like, I wish I could do that. And so I learned about acting and, what it means to be a celebrity. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I want to be in a movie one day. So, yeah, I began, trying out for my drama club, and I got in, and I kept doing that. I eventually got into, some, ensemble program in New South Wales, which was, pretty much the peak of my achievement. Because after that, I don't know, I tried to apply for some art school, which I passed the acting stage at the very least. But in terms of the one-on-one interview, I guess I don't know, I said something that they weren't looking for, or who knows, maybe it was my acting skills that were at fault, but I didn't get in. And I was like, that's fine, not, that's not the end of the world. But I don't know, I guess my passion kind of died during high school. I took drama, and year 9 to year 10 was really good. You know, I was really enjoying it. But then I don't know. I don't know whether it's maturity, but my passion died, and I no longer believed that I could achieve it anymore. That there was a path forward with this thing. You know, I wasn't willing to take the risk of, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, just going to auditions and, you know, being in that acting grind that everyone has to go through. Like, I didn't believe in my abilities to get me out of that rut that I would be in had I continued on this path. So, you know, with those two things, I put my dreams aside. Like, you know, if I ever had a dream, that was it, to be an actor. And up until now, I don't think I've ever really come to terms with that. You know, I've just neglected it to the side. But like, throughout my whole life, I believed that I was gonna be an actor, and a famous one at that. And yeah, I don't think that will be the case anymore. But alas, there's other ways to, you know, achieve my dream of being remembered. I don't know how, but at the end of the day, that is my core goal. But yeah, speaking about goals, I wrote 8 goals, funnily enough, this start of this year. I'm not really the goal, what do they call it? New Year's resolution kind of person. If it matters to you, I didn't write these on New Year's. I wrote them maybe a week after New Year's. But I don't know, I felt good about this year. I really wanted to implement some sort of plan of action to change. So I didn't just write down 10 ambitious goals. I wrote down 8, and I wrote it under my current self, my changed self, and what actions I would take to get there. When I wrote them, I seemed like, wow, I was on the cusp of something genius. You know, a YouTube video I could make in a couple years to say how this 3 section table changed my life. But no, it did not change anything. But yeah, let's read them for the sake of entertainment and a hint of self-reflection. So my first job was that I was... Okay, well, I've spoiled that. My first goal was that I was actually unemployed, and I wanted to be employed. But yeah, it took me quite a bit to get some level of employment. I had a brief stint where I worked at an election, helping count all the votes, which was fun, but it was a temporary job, only for, 2 shifts. But I secured a job recently, so it took me 10 months, and I don't know, I can't really in good conscience tick that goal off because I wasn't really proactive in securing this job. It was kind of handed to me. So yeah, I can't tick off that one in good faith. So my next goal was that I wanted to be in good shape / healthy. I am not unhealthy, but I could be healthier. You know, I'm in a relatively skinny shape. I'm not built or obese or anything. But I don't know. One time I was, my friends and I were watching a movie, and we were at the cinema, and we're like, maybe we should get some snacks. And we didn't want to, pay overpriced cinema prices. So me and this other guy decided to run all the way to the nearest supermarket. I was like, yeah, we're gonna sprint the heck out of this. It's gonna be super, super fast. I haven't been able to run like this in ages. So I we started running, and I was feeling good. I was feeling pumped. And then halfway through, I was not feeling good at all. I was heaving and like sweating, and phlegm started pooling in my mouth. I was all over the place. I was a wreck, and it was the first time I realized, how out of shape I was. When I was a kid, I was, pretty fit. I did karate pretty much every day of the week, at least 6 days a week. Although it was like an hour every day, it still required me to do, a lot of physical activity, a lot of stretches outside the dojo, and just practicing katas and that. And I was in really good shape. That night of running, and I was in a mess. I was in the store, and I was just like, I wonder how I looked like. I could have been asked to be removed from the premises. I looked that crazy, but yeah. And then I had to run all the way back. Oh, oof. But yeah, we made it back to the movie on time. It was June 2, part 2, they call it, for IMAX. Watched in the big screen. It was fun. So yeah, after that moment, it really gave me an insight into my current health level. In this, I wrote, trying to go to the gym. I've never been to the gym, and I still haven't been to the gym. Eventually, I'm gonna have to go to the gym. Like, I know, but the hardest thing is to start, particularly at the gym, but also for anything in life, I wanted to do this Minecraft thing for a month now, and starting took a while. And even when I did start, I just didn't like my first recording, and I gave it up. But I'm here now. Going skipping regularly. I like to skip a lot. Not in the moving around skedaddle sense. I mean, like, with an actual skipping rope. Which I have done semi-frequently this year, but not to the weekly habit that I was thinking about. So on to my next goal. It's a bit of a funny one. It was that I was single. Well, no, that I wanted to be in a relationship, and I was currently single. I haven't had a relationship in my X amount of years living as a human being, to no fault of my own. Obviously, it's my fault, but I don't know what mistakes I've made, apart from not being ridiculously proactive. But I wasn't just sitting out there waiting for, okay, maybe a bit, but anyway, waiting for opportunities to come by me. Like, I was in the middle, and I don't know, is the middle not good enough? Do you have to, be on the grind, be on the lookout? Like, so yeah, my actions were to engage in more conversations with strangers, attend events outside of my comfort zone, and I think I've done that pretty well. I attended a few pub crawls this year, and I've had pretty alright success, met a lot of people, and I think I've been taking that on in strides. So, has it worked out? It has not. I got close one time. Maybe it's a future story I'll tell. I got close one time, but apart from that, no progress on that front. I wrote down like 3 other goals, but the last goal I'll talk about is that I wanted to have a really good sleep schedule, one of those early risers. My ideal self would, wake up at 6 or 5 and put on my running gear and start running, and get back, have a shower, get some work done. I feel like I'm an early bird. What is it? Like, born to early bird, forced to night owl. Like, I feel like that's my life. So yeah, my plan was to, sleep regularly at 11. By the time it was 10:30, I would have put down all my devices, get ready for bed. It lasted for a short stint, but unfortunately it has not worked. The time of recording of this video is 1:38, if you need to know, which, definitely not a good sleep schedule. In fact, it's actually 2:38 technically, because it's daylight savings. Yeah, so that was the goal that I really thought I could get down. like if I was gonna get one goal down this year, it was gonna be fixing my sleep. I was really confident. How could it go wrong? Sleep was not gonna be for the big 25. 26 though, you know. 26, I think it will happen. But yeah, those were my goals that I have failed to achieve, and I don't think I will achieve in the last 2 months that I have in 2025. But, you know, I think this is important self-reflection I need, because I refuse to look at this goal thing that I wrote post-March. Like, by the time it was March, I was like, yeah, I am not completing these goals. I stopped bothering ticking this progress tracker I had, because it was just demoralizing. And yeah, now I've faced my fears, I've looked into it, and yeah, I really need to find some other way to enact change in my life, because like I said, we've got a finite time, and I don't want to... Well, there was one story that really resonated with me, like, you know, let's say you die, and you go to some afterlife, let's say there's an afterlife, and you see yourself. It was the version that, let me try to remember the story. I think it was along the lines of you see yourself and it's like, that's the version of you that you could have been. And you feel this like overwhelming sense of regret, and it's like, okay, I'm not doing this story just enough. Let me look it up. Okay, I cannot for the life of me find this story that I was thinking of. You know, I've tried all the tricks in the books. David Goggins, motivational, you know, what you could have been, regret story, motivational, like nothing will come up. So if anyone knows this story, please let me know. It was deeply inspiring for 5 minutes, and then I've lived out my life like this. But yeah, it was along the lines of you see yourself and like the guy goes, that's what you could have been. You know, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be like 80, 90 if I manage to get there and think, damn, like I could have done something and I didn't. You know, I'll just die and not be remembered apart from my, you know, family, but who knows how long that could last. I can't think of my great-grandfather. I don't know who my great-grandfather is. So it's like, after your grandkids, you know, who's really gonna remember you? So I don't want that to happen. I would like some sort of legacy, some sort of notoriety, some sort of fame. So yeah, hopefully I can get some of these goals done to, you know, put myself on that path. But yeah, carpe diem, and I hope you have a good day.